Hello everyone. So today we have arrived to the third and last video on the topic hybridization. We have made already two videos on this topic, and there we have seen that the characteristics of every hybridization, their related geometries, all these things, why the theory was required. So today is the last thing under this topic, that is determination of hybridization from molecular formula. If an unknown molecule, if the molecular formula is given to you, then from that formula how can we determine the state of hybridization of the central atom? So we have a formula here, and using that we will see how from the given formula we can calculate or determine the state of hybridization. So the formula says, the formula you will be used here is H equals to half into V plus X minus C plus A. This is the formula. I will explain each and every term. So the formula says H equals to half into V plus X minus C plus A. Here V equals to number of valence electron of the central atom. Then comes X. X is number of monovalent terminal atom. This word monovalent is very important. Number of monovalent terminal atom. What is C? C means cationic or positive charge. And A means anionic or negative charge. Here you should remember that while taking the charge of the species, we will take only the value, the modulus value, without the sign. We will take only the value of that charge and will put here in this formula. So by taking these four terms V, X, C and A, putting here, we can get the value of H, and from that value of H we can determine what should be the state of hybridization of the central atom. So let us work out with some known examples. Let's see what happens. Now here we have the formula. If the H value obtained is 2, it gives you sp hybridization. If H equals to 3, it gives you sp2 hybridization, and so on. So here our first task is, from the molecular formula we have to find the value of H. Once the H value is obtained, we can then say the hybridization of the central atom of the molecule. Now take the first example, methane. We are taking the first example as methane, CH4. So here the central atom, clearly the central atom is carbon. So number of valence electron of carbon, it is 4, because carbon has electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. So in the valence shell there are 4 electrons. Then value of X, number of monovalent terminal atoms. So here all the terminal atoms are hydrogen, and we know hydrogen is a monovalent element, monovalent atom. So here number of monovalent terminal atoms is also 4. Now the positive charge, the species methane is a neutral molecule, so there is no positive charge, no negative charge overall. Now put the formula H equals to half into V plus X minus C plus A. So it is half into 4 plus 4, that gives you 4, and H equals to 4 means sp3. So we can say carbon of methane molecule is sp3 hybridized. And then once the hybridization is obtained, then we can say it will be tetrahedral, because we know the corresponding geometries associated with each different hybridization. The next example we are taking is phosphorus pentachloride. In the last video we discussed PCl5 and we have seen there that the central phosphorus is sp3d hybridized and it is trigonal bipyramidal. So let us check whether our formula gives the same result or not. So here the central atom is phosphorus, central atom equals to phosphorus. It is just below nitrogen and the valence shell electronic configuration is 3s2 3p3. So here number of valence electron is 5 and then number of monovalent terminal atoms. So chlorine again monovalent, so there are 5 chlorine, so all are monovalent terminal atoms. So X is again 5, it is again a neutral molecule, so both C and A are 0. So what should be H? Half into 5 plus 5, that gives you 5, and H equals to 5 means sp3d hybridization. So in this way we have checked that our formula gives a good result, right? We can obtain the exact state of hybridization of the central atom from the given molecular formula, right? Next, take another example, that is sulfur tetrafluoride, SF4. Okay, so central atom sulfur, the valence shell electronic configuration is 3s2 3p4. It is just below oxygen in the periodic table. So here V equals to 6. And what will be the value of X? All these 4 fluorines are monovalent. So there are 4 monovalent terminal atoms. So X equals to 4. Again C equals to 0, A equals to 0. Therefore H equals to half into 6 plus 4, that is again 5. So sp3d. And we know that sp3d hybridization gives trigonal bipyramidal. So if we draw the trigonal bipyramidal, then at the center we will have the sulfur, and then there are total 5 vertices. We know 2 of them are axial and remaining are equatorial. These 3 blacks are equatorial, these 2 are axial. Now we place 4 fluorine, like fluorine here, fluorine here, fluorine here, and fluorine here. Now the question arises, what is the fate of this 5th vertices? What is the fate of this 5th vertex? This is actually occupied by a lone pair of electron. Soon we will see how to calculate the number of lone pairs and bond pairs. For now, see, it is the lone pair of electron that occupy the 5th vertex. Just after few more examples we will see how to calculate the number of lone pairs. Our next molecule is XeOF4. So here the central atom is xenon, and being group 18 element, that is inert gas, clearly it will complete its octet. So without any doubt we can say V will be equals to 8. Now there are 2 types of terminal atoms, oxygen and fluorine, and we know oxygen is divalent atom, so we will not count oxygen, only fluorine, because we need number of monovalent terminal atoms. So here again X will be equals to 4, not 5. C equals to 0, A equals to 0. So H equals to half into 8 plus 4, and that is equals to 6. 6 means sp3d2. So how the molecule will look? sp3d2 means octahedral. So we are trying to draw the octahedron. These are the 6 vertices. Now how they will be occupied? So 4 of the vertices will be occupied by fluorine. We already know that octahedral means all the 6 positions are equivalent, right? Now 1 will be occupied by oxygen. So this is the sigma skeletal structure, because we know hybridization is associated with the sigma skeletal structure only. It has no relation with the pi bonding. So what about the 6th vertex? The 6th vertex will be occupied by the lone pair of electron. Okay, So this is the sigma skeletal structure. Later you will see, if you count all the number of electrons, valence electrons, then you will see there is a pi bond to satisfy the valency 2 of oxygen. So this is the complete picture of this molecule XeOF4. But however, if you want to determine the structure or hybridization only, this formula is sufficient to give you the hybridization of xenon as well as the geometry of the molecule. Our next molecule is ethane. Here we have two central atoms. Both the carbons are central atom. Now how to calculate? So you know the structure of ethane. It is like this. Okay. So here, instead of a monovalent terminal atom, we have a monovalent group. This is methyl group. How many bonds methyl can form? It can form only one bond. So this methyl group is behaving as a monovalent terminal atom if we take this carbon as the central atom. So here for carbon again V equals to 4. 3 hydrogen, they are terminal monovalent, as well as this methyl group is also monovalent terminal. So here again X equals to 4, C equals to 0, A equals to 0. So clearly H will be equals to half into 4 plus 4, that is equals to 4 equals to sp3. Same thing we will apply for this carbon also. In that case, this one will have this 3 hydrogen and this methyl group as the monovalent terminal. So again it will come sp3. So both the carbons here are sp3 hybridized. So if you want to show their tetrahedral structure, you have to show it like this. Here you can see, if you take this one as one of the vertex, then the structure, the surrounding of this carbon is tetrahedral. Similarly, if you take this one as the central atom, then take this methyl as one atom or one group as one of the vertex, and again you can see these 3 hydrogen and this methyl group, these 4 are arranged tetrahedrally. So both are satisfying sp3 hybridization as far as their geometry is concerned. Next molecule we have is ethylene. So in ethylene also you can see there are two central atoms. Now to calculate this one, this part, this CH2 part, it is making a double bond with this carbon. So this CH2 group can be considered as a divalent entity. So when calculating X, we will not take this CH2 because we need only the monovalent terminal atom. So for this carbon, now V equals to 4. Here X will be equals to 2, only these 2 hydrogen, because this is a divalent entity. Again C equals to 0, A equals to 0. So H will be equals to half into 4 plus 2, that is equals to 3. That means sp2 hybridized. Same thing will apply for this carbon also. In that case, this CH2 will be treated as a divalent entity and it will again come as sp2 hybridization. So both of them are sp2. Okay, and sp2 means trigonal planar. So this carbon and these 2 hydrogen, these 3 are at the 3 vertices of a triangle, giving this a trigonal planar geometry. For this carbon also, this carbon and these 2 hydrogen, these 3 are on the 3 vertices of a triangle, giving a trigonal planar geometry for this carbon also. So in this way, sp2 hybridization as well as trigonal planar geometry is satisfied for both this carbon. Let us try some charged species now. For example, if I take the species sulfate SO4 2-. Okay, so the central atom here sulfur 3s2 3p4, giving you V equals to 6. All terminal atoms here are oxygen, so all are divalent, so we will not count any one of them. So here X equals to 0. There is no positive charge here, so C will be 0. But the species overall has 2 negative charge, and as I said, we are not going to take the charge with the sign. We will take only the value, only the mod value. So the value of this charge is 2, the sign is negative, so we will take only the value 2. Now apply the formula H equals to half into V plus X minus C plus A. So that will be equals to half into 6 plus 0 minus 0 plus 2. That is equals to 4. So sp3. So here sulfur again is sp3 hybridized. That information is available by using this formula. However, if you want to draw the full structure, first it will be sp3. So the 4 oxygen will be arranged tetrahedrally like this. Now you have to satisfy the valency. There are two negative charges, so two of the oxygen each will have -1 charges, and two of the oxygen they will be double bonded. So this is the complete structure of sulfate. However, from this formula we can calculate only the hybridization and only the sigma skeletal structure, but if you want to know the pi bonding, then you have to count the valence electrons, how to satisfy their octet, etc. Then you will get how the pi bonds are there, because hybridization never gives any information regarding the pi bonding. It gives only the sigma skeletal structure. Now we are taking an example where the charge is positive. So here again central atom is nitrogen, the electronic configuration is 2s2 2p3, so V will be equals to 5. Number of monovalent terminal atoms, all are hydrogen, so X will be equals to 4. Here we have one cationic charge, so C is 1, and no negative charge, it is 0. So apply the formula now. Half into 5 plus 4 minus 1, that is again giving you 4. That means it is again sp3 hybridized. This is your nitrogen. 4 hydrogens will be arranged tetrahedrally, and the species overall will have charge +1. So in this way, whether it is a charged species or neutral species, using the formula we can find the state of hybridization of the central atom, and from that we can find the geometry, because we know the corresponding geometries of each hybridization. Now the question appears, how can we calculate how many of them will be lone pair and how many will be bond pair? So we are coming to that part. To calculate number of lone pairs, the formula is number of lone pairs L equals to H minus number of terminal atoms. Be careful, in the previous formula it was number of monovalent terminal atoms, but here the formula consisted of number of terminal atoms. Here you don't need to distinguish between monovalent or divalent. The formula says number of lone pairs equals to H minus number of terminal atoms. So let us quickly apply this rule for some molecules. SF4 we have already discussed it. So here H value for sulfur atom comes as 5, because it is sp3d hybridized. We have already calculated it. So what will be L? L will be equals to 5 minus how many terminal atoms are there? 4. So that is 1. So in SF4 there will be only one lone pair, and I have shown you this already. The structure looks like this. This one is the lone pair, and this way there are the 4 atoms, right? Now take the molecule ammonia, NH3. So if you calculate H value, then it comes 4. For nitrogen here you can just apply the previous formula, check by yourself, and then number of L will be 4 minus, there are 3 terminal atoms, so it is again 1. So since it is 4, that means sp3 hybridized, 3 of the hydrogens are at the 3 vertices of the tetrahedron, and the 4th position will be occupied by this one lone pair, so it will look like this. Okay, now take one of the most well known molecule, that is water. So central atom oxygen, 2s2 2p4, V is 6, X is 2 here, number of monovalent terminal atoms, giving you H value equals to 4 from the previous formula. And now number of lone pairs, that will be H minus number of terminal atoms 2, so it is giving you 2. So from H value 4 we know it is sp3 hybridized, and sp3 means tetrahedral, so the surroundings of this oxygen will be tetrahedral, and out of the 4 vertices of the tetrahedral, 2 will be occupied by these 2 lone pairs, and remaining 2 will be occupied by these 2 hydrogen atoms. Now the last small thing, that is shape and structure. The terms look similar, both are related to the sigma skeletal structure. We know from hybridization we get only the sigma skeletal structure, and both are related to the sigma skeletal structure, but the only difference is when we are talking about the shape of the molecule, it is excluding the lone pair, And when we are talking about structure or geometry, if the question asks you write the geometry or structure, then it is the same, or the other thing is shape. So structure, geometry means the same thing, shape is different, it is excluding lone pair. When it is structure or geometry, it is including the lone pair. Okay, I will just show you example. We have already seen that in ammonia molecule, one of the vertex of the tetrahedron is occupied by lone pair and the remaining 3 occupied by hydrogen. So it looks like this molecule. If you carefully see, these 3 purples are the 3 hydrogen and this one is the lone pair. So when we count both lone pair and these bond pairs, it is tetrahedral. So structure or geometry of ammonia, structure or geometry, it will be tetrahedral. But if they ask you the shape of the molecule, then we have to exclude the lone pair. So just remove this lone pair. So now it looks like a pyramid, right? These 3 if you connect, it is a trigonal plane. Above you have the ammonia. So if you join it, it will give you a pyramid. So when you are asked the shape of the ammonia molecule, it is pyramidal. Be very careful. Students often get confused between shape and structure. Shape means excluding the lone pair. Structure or geometry means including the lone pair. One more example is SF4. I have already shown you this structure. So this SF4 molecule, how will it look? It will look like this one, right? This SF4 molecules, one of the trigonal planar position is occupied, one of the equatorial position is occupied by a lone pair of electron. It looks exactly like this. This is the lone pair and these 2 are these 2 fluorines and these 2 axial fluorines, right? So it is trigonal bipyramidal geometry. This is the trigonal plane and these 2 are the axial position. So structure or geometry is trigonal bipyramidal. But now when you are saying the shape, you have to exclude this lone pair. This one looks like a seesaw. If I show you like this, you can clearly distinguish that the shape is different. It is seesaw. If you see children playing in the seesaw, it is the 2 basal beams that holds the rod and the children sit here and they play, right? So the shape is like a seesaw, but the structure here is trigonal bipyramidal. We have 2 more examples for you here. One is water. You know that there are 2 lone pairs and the hybridization comes by calculation is sp3 tetrahedral. So 2 of the vertices will be occupied by hydrogen and remaining 2 by the lone pairs. So if you off this lone pair, it will look like the alphabet V. So the shape is known as V shaped, but the structure geometry, just because it is sp3 hybridized, you have to include the lone pairs and it will give you tetrahedral structure. In the same way, for XeOF4 we have calculated for xenon, the H value comes as 6, that is sp3d2 hybridization, that means octahedral geometry. So the 6 vertices I have already shown that 4 are fluorine, 1 is oxygen and 1 is the lone pair of electron. So if you off this lone pair of electron, then how it will look? This is your octahedral geometry, this is the square plane and these 2. So one of here is lone pair of electron. So I am adding one lone pair here. So this is the molecule, right? Exactly this one. These are the 4 fluorine atoms. This one is the oxygen, this one is the lone pair. So this is octahedral geometry. Now if I remove the lone pair to determine the shape, so it is a square plane. And if you add this oxygen with each of the fluorine, it will look like a pyramid. So it is a pyramid where the basal plane is square. So it is square pyramidal. So in this way we can determine the shape by calculating H and number of lone pairs. So I will end this video by putting a question that when I draw SF4, we know it is a trigonal bipyramidal, and I put fluorine like this. And we know in trigonal bipyramidal geometry, these two are axial, these three are equatorial, they are not equivalent. So how do we know that whether the lone pair will be placed in the equatorial position or in the axial position? Because if I place this lone pair in the axial position, it will not look like a seesaw, but I am saying the molecule is seesaw. So how to determine this? So keep awaiting. In our next video, surely we will come with the solution of this question, or you can search by yourself. It is amazing thing. One rule is there that actually enables us the position of the lone pair, how to put the lone pair in the molecules, and how to put the atoms in the molecule. So thank you for watching, and if you are finding these lessons useful for you, then please like the video and share it and subscribe it, and press the bell icon to get the notification as soon as we upload the video. Thank you.